well as on the right hand side, specifically when I talk about the writing position and the reading position. Also we saw the welcome to day 5. So basically we'll be starting off from where we left on that day. So as you all know, we were understanding about handling the table expressions both on the left hand side as well as on the right hand side, specifically when I talk about the writing position and the reading position. Also we saw the ways as to how to handle dumps in case if there is a line not found while using the table expressions. And now to build more on that, as we also understood how to use a value operator, which comes in very handy, which was also one kind of an approach while handling the dumps in case of table line not found, and we'll further build more on it as to how a value operator comes very handy when we want to build a kind of a complex or a deep structures and furthermore concepts which are associated with it. Okay, so any doubts, or we are all good to go? Okay, so then let's move further. So basically we had stopped here where we had seen like what we were doing earlier in terms of creating an internal table and what we are doing now. So in terms of this, now that we understood initially the basic purpose of using a value operator, so let's move ahead. One second. Yep, so let me, cool. Okay, so now with this value operator, so suppose if I create a structure, a local table type. So types begin off ty_new, and then I will give suppose 3 columns which are both of char type. Okay, so f1 2 and then f2 2 and then last but not the least f3 2. Okay, so I hope you remember the shortcut, Control Alt and down arrow key, and then end of ty_new. Okay, now quick thing, suppose if I want to build a work area out of it, suppose ls_data1. Okay, and what I'll give, so value operator, what's the type with which I want to specify ty_new, the local type. And now if I want to specify the components, so suppose xx f2 equals to yy and then f3 equals to zz, right? Now tell me one thing, suppose if I want to create another work area ls_data2 and I want to copy these values from here, so what do you write? So I can write data ls_data2 equals to ls_data1, yes or no? Tell me. Or the other approach can be using a move operator. So now tell me one thing, quick question, if I use a move operator, okay, if I comment this line and by chance if you want to use that statement, so move structure 1 to structure 2, right? We can use that, yes or no? So move, in case if I move 1 and if I use move ls_data1 to inline declaration data ls_data2, is it correct or wrong? You will get an error here. The inline declaration is not possible. So this is one more restriction of using an inline declaration, guys. One more restriction added to that checklist. In case if you are using a move statement, move structure 1 to structure 2, please do not use inline declaration. If this is already declared, obviously it will work. If this is not declared, then it will not work. So one more restriction. So I'll add a point here. Inline declaration is not possible in below case. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. What if my requirement is that I want to create a structure? Understand my requirement. I want to create a structure which should hold these values of ls underscore data 1, but my component f3 or f2 or anything should have a different value. How will I do that? Is my question clear? I want to transfer data from this source to a destination, but I want to keep the initial values same, but I also want to change a component with some different value. So how do I do that? How do I do that? Tell me. So it's a very common use case, right? To add new values to existing values, yes or no? So in that case, so you all know that it's a very common use case to add new values to existing values, right? Yes or no? So in that case, what you can do, I will introduce a new operator now. So with release 7.4 740 SP8, so you have got a new addition called base operator. So base along with constructor expressions. Okay, which allows you, this one allows you to give the expressions a start value. So basically the above operator allows you to give the expressions a start value. Yep, so let me just finish this and done. So now how do I write that? So in this case, I want to create a new structure, data ls underscore data 2, right? And here what I'm going to do, I want to pass the data from ls underscore data 1, right? So what I will do, I will use a value operator because I want to construct something, and once I use a value operator, can I write hash here, yes or no? Can I use a generic data type with hash? Can I write like this, hash and then this? Can I write this hash and like this? Because ls underscore data 1 is known now, so can I do that? So if I write base ls underscore data 1 and I want to change the component of f2 with AA, so done. That's it. See here, now whatever component you want, it's not about f2 only. Even if you want to change for f3, it will change for f3. If I want to change for f1, it will change for f1 as well. So understood, you can use hash. Why you can't use hash? You can use hash because the data type for this one will be derived from the right hand side expression, right? Now this ls underscore data 1 is known. ls underscore data 1 is known in line number 211, right? In case if it was not known, then you can use. But now let me twist the question. What if this ls underscore data 2 was referring to a types which was having 4 components? Then can you use hash? So now suppose I give you a scenario now, f1, f2, f3, f4, ty underscore new 1, okay? And ls data 2 refers to ty underscore new 1. So now instead of hash, can I give hash there? Tell me. So can I give hash there in that case? So then in that case it will be base ls underscore data 1 f4 equals to whatever value you want to specify, right? Understood? So suppose, let me create that scenario. So what do I do now? This is ty underscore new. I'll take this, I'll comment this part. I'll write it here. So f1, f2, f3. Suppose I'll make everything as type I. Type I, okay. And f2 type I, f3 type I, and I'll create two more components which will be f4 and f5, okay. And now what I'm going to do now, this is one particular local type and begin of ty underscore new 1, and here I'm going to create only 3 components. And now end of ty underscore new 1, okay. Now tell me one thing, suppose, so data ls underscore data 1 value operator. Now what do I do? ty underscore new 1. So now I go here and now I pass the component values. So suppose I'll pass the same component, f1 equals to 1, 2 equals to 2 and f3 equals to 3, okay. Now what do I want to do? I want to, this is referring to this, so basically there are 3 components. Now I want to create another structure, data ls underscore data 2 and value operator. Now here I'll refer this to ty underscore new, okay. So now tell me one thing, suppose if I just write base and ls underscore data 1, okay, and now I write for f4 and f5, I want to pass these values, right. So f4 equals to 4 and f5 equals to 5, okay. So now let me show you the output for ls underscore data 2. So suppose if I put a breakpoint here and let me do an f8, so ls underscore data 1 and ls underscore data 2, so f5, okay. So ls data 1 is now 1 2 3 and ls data 2 is now 1 2 3 4 5, right. So now tell me one thing, what if I want to add an addition here? So normally while passing the values from one to another structure, normally we make use of move corresponding also, right. So what if with the same, if I want to make use of that corresponding, how can I do that? So move corresponding structure 1 to structure 2. With this addition, can I somehow put into that use? Suppose line number 234 and I also want to use move corresponding also. Is it really possible? Is it possible, guys? What if I add here corresponding hash here and do it like this? What will happen? Is there any harm in putting it like this? What do you say? Do you find any fault here? No, right? So this will also do the same job. Now coming to this corresponding operator and how do we use, we'll come to that. but just I wanted to show you a variant that you can club like this also. In case if you want to make use of the move corresponding concept along with the value operator while assigning initial values while constructing a structure, you can use this approach as well. Now one restriction, if you are seeing I am always using this base operator at the start, right? I am always using this base operator at the start, right? What if I want to write, and I'll comment this out. Let me remove this and let me remove this. Okay. What if now I remove this from this position and I put it to this position? Do you think any issues in that? So base operator always needs to be put at the start of this expression. Base operator cannot be put at any different position. Understood? So base can only be used at the starting position. It cannot be used after the like without the starting position you cannot use base. It will throw you an error. So base you always need to put at the starting position. Now next question to all of you. Now since that I have shown you for structure, similarly, isn't base and this concept possible for internal table also? What do you say? Can I achieve the same thing? Can I use the same concept for an internal table? Yes or no? Tell me. So in that case, just let me comment this out and I'll just add a note here. So the below expression is not possible. As base needs to be specified at the start position. Similarly, now let me put it for an internal table. So now types T underscore I tab, suppose type table of I with empty key, okay, and now data I tab, and now what I want to create is I want to create an internal table with 3 rows. So value operator T underscore I tab, okay, so the first component is 10 suppose, second component is 20 and the third component is 30. So it has got basically 3 rows. Okay. Now what do I want to do? I want to create one more internal table and I want to use these values and I want to change some of the values. So data I tab 1 suppose, value operator T underscore I tab. Okay. Now as you all know that base needs to be used at the start. So I tab. Okay. And now I want to change the value of the first and the third row. So this one. Now guys, a quick question here. This table has got 3 rows. Let me unmute you. So can anyone tell me this table, line number 240, I tab, has got 3 rows. Now when I want to use the base values, okay, and if I want to change some of the rows, suppose if I want to change the value of the first row and the third row, so how will I write now? I've written up to this part. How do I proceed further? Can anyone tell me? So should I write here 5 and 20, suppose if I want to change for first and the third row? So will this change the values for first and third row?
No, first and second.
So how do I handle for first and third?
Empty in the second.
So you are telling me I'll do a like this, or how? Or I'll remove it from here. I'll put it here and do like this. Is this the correct one?
No, not that way. Space between the second.
Tell me.
Remove the space between the second.
So you are telling me to remove this. You are telling me to remove the space between the second.
Yeah, one more time.
So this will get you an error. This will not work. I told you, right? For every component within a value operator for an internal table, a space after the start and after the before the end, right? So a space. Now tell me.
No, it will blank out 20.
I'll blank out 20, but 20 I want to change for 30. So this 20, okay, so let me show you like this. So 30 I want to make it 25, and 10 I want to make it 5, and 20 I want to make it for itab 1. This is itab 1. So itab 1, I want to get the second value as 20, first value 10 to be replaced with 5, and 30 to be replaced with 25. So is this correct?
No, I don't think so.
Any other answer? So Srini, you say use itab 1. Why do I want to use itab 1? I am already making use of base to give this internal table initial values from this source. Right, Srini?
Right. But I want to make the row. I mean, so the brackets. I want to mention the row.
So you want to mention the row, but see, already I did it here. I used in the same sequence, right? First, second, third. So just let me show you the output now, what will happen. So I'll put a breakpoint here. Okay. Or even not required. I'll use a CLDEM output display. And I will pass itab 1. Okay. And I'll activate the same. So now let me show you what happens. If I do an F8 now. So can you see 10, 20, 30, 5, 0, 25. Did you ever expect this output?
Actually,
You can't see anything there.
we are seeing
Your
blank.
screen is blank.
My screen is blank.
Yes.
Yeah, just the blue
Okay,
side.
one.
Not blank.
Oh, one
blank.
second.
It says SAP. Or maybe if you can select, then we will be able to view.
1 second. I'll again activate, execute the output. 1 second. Now my screen is visible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Once again I'll execute the output. So can you see the output now? Did you expect this output?
No,
We cannot see the output.
Not second, but then it's gone again.
Okay.
I think the pop-up goes away. So
Okay, 1 second. So let me stop sharing and again reshare. Okay. So is my screen visible?
No, not yet.
it's loading. Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So once again, just let me know I have reshared. I'm executing the output.
Yes, it
Now?
is visible.
Yeah.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So now can you see? So what is the output for itab 1?
Okay, it has appended the new values.
Obviously, right? It will append or not? Tell me. It will append, right? Because for a structure, obviously it cannot append, but it will derive you the initial kick-up values, right? But for an internal table, if I use base, so that means what? The old values of itab will be restored like this. So the first row comes as it is, first, second, third row, and then the fourth, fifth, and sixth row. Now that I made it blank, so since I did not specify anything, by default for I means it will be initially a 0, right? So that's why you saw the output as 0. So if I do an F8 again, 10, 20, 30, 5, 0, 25. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So suppose now if I had not given this, now what should be the output?
It should be
Can anyone tell me?
Then
0.
0 will be appended at the last.
No, why?
it's basically
Why will 0 append at the last?
yeah, it's an array.
Are you giving any blank value? Are you giving any blank value? If I do like this, okay, and now if I do an F8,
Yeah, it doesn't.
obviously now 0 will come, right?
Yes.
No,
So that is the mean.
the first one is structure and second one is just a single dimensional array. That's why we are seeing this type of output.
Which one? Line number 240?
No, the upper one is structure. That's why.
Yes, this was we were talking about structure, and from here we are talking about internal table.
Yeah, it's array, not just internal table. It's just array with the same field. Multiple.
No, you can see I made no. Here I have used type table of I only. If you want, you can make it multiple components. If you want, you make multiple components. So example, let me give you an example. You have stored some data to an internal table having 6 components, okay? Now, you want what we normally do, append work area to internal table, right? Now let me say you a statement. Data, leave data also. Same internal table equals to value hash base whatever work area from where you want to append LW underscore WA or whatever, okay? And then again, so since you want to keep the same internal table, so I write LT underscore ITab equals to value hash base LT underscore ITab, and in braces I just give a statement like this. So what do I mean? LT underscore ITab equals to value hash, because LT underscore ITab will be known, base LT underscore ITab, and in braces whatever work area LS underscore whatever data. What does this statement mean, by the way?
No, for elementary data types, how will you have multiple components? For example, types T underscore ITab, type table of I. You have 2 components here.
No, example, if I leave I, if I write an ABAP elementary data type, what will happen? It will create me an internal table because I have used type table of. Or example, I could have created a structure also. But in this case, if I use anything, suppose type table of Evelyn with empty key, what will happen? You can have as many number of rows you want for multiple Evelyns, right?
Correct, but just single column.
Yes, it will be obviously single column because I am specifying only a single ABAP predefined data type, or if you want to use any ABAP component, it will be single component. You can, if you want to relate it with an array, you can say an array. But what I am telling, it will not be restricted to array only. You can specify it with multiple components also.
Not multiple, right? You are giving at the time only one.
No, so understand, see, once again I'll repeat. Suppose this internal table has got 6 components. Okay, F1 example, take this scenario. So suppose this internal table is built from this ty underscore new. This has got 5 components.
Right.
Suppose I create a structure and pass these 5 components into ls underscore data. ls underscore data equals to value hash or value ty underscore new f1, f2, f3, f4, f5. I pass the values. Okay. Now I want to what we should I have done? Append ls underscore data to lt underscore itab. Instead of that, now if I write this statement, lt underscore itab equals to value hash base lt underscore itab, because I want to keep on appending rows to this value like how it did for this, using these 2 concepts. Okay, and then in the components, rather than passing all the components, I'll pass directly the work area. So what it will do, every time you pass to ls underscore data within the loop, isn't it appending with the base values of the old values of lt itab, right?
Yeah.
Now you understand what
columns to the row.
Right. So this LT underscore itab, if it is processed within 6 iterations, it will have 6 rows, 6 records. And since it has 5 components, so 5 columns, 6 rows.
Yeah.
Got the point now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move ahead. So I'll go down. Okay. Now quickly, since you all know that this base has got a restriction here, right? This base cannot move here and there, right? I cannot go ahead with this base here and there. Now what if I manipulate this a bit with something else? So what I will do now, this data underscore itab1. So now itab1 equals to, now what do? I will create it again with, so suppose, sorry, I will use this, and suppose if I comment this out now, okay, and rather than using base, I don't want to use base. Is there any other alternative for me? So what do I do now is that within this expression, now I write lines of, and which one? The internal table itab. So if I use lines of itab 525 blank, now let me show you the output. So I activate this, and I show you the output now. So can you see the same output? 10, 20, 30, 525, 0, right? Now let me change it a bit. So now I want the output as first these to come, and then my rows this to come. I take this, cancel this from here, and I remove the space from here, and I put it here. Can it work? Let me activate. There is no syntax issues. And now if I show you the output now, can you see 525, 0, 10, 20, 30? Okay. Now what if I want to put it in the middle? Put it, cancel it from here. Okay. And suppose if I want after this, okay, and I want to put some other value here, suppose 45. Okay. And now let me activate and show you the output. So can you see this? 525, 10, 20, 30 and 45. So lines of, if you use lines of instead of base in terms of an internal table, this will be applicable when you are making use of internal table. So if you use this concept along with this value expression to construct your internal table values, this helps you to be flexible and you can move around. So this lines of itab, this can be specified at any place. That is the beauty. Yes, Prasad, it is possible to change a particular row of an internal table along with base. Row of an internal table along with base. So when I was using base, so suppose if you want to specify for a particular value, right, in this case, suppose it has got 2 records. Here I was specifying something else, right? So if you want to pass that with some structure for some different values, you pass that value. So as I showed you here. Understood, Prasad? So if you want to specify, suppose this has got, you cannot specify here like table expression, use table expression here. No, it will not be possible here because this is for constructing value operator. So that will come in corresponding. I'll show you that while we use corresponding, how we can change values, like if you want to keep some components map to something else. If you do not want to map to something else, if you want to leave some component, that will come as a combination of corresponding. Okay, up to this point, any doubts? So I'll just add a point here. When you are using, so as you know that base has got a restriction. So in place of base, if we make use of lines of and then itab, this can be specified at any place for constructing an internal table. So this is one added advantage which you get. So if you want to transfer only few rows of a table, so if you but tell me one thing, how will you restrict? Suppose this is itab, suppose some other internal table, and this is some other internal table. So how will you restrict that you want to specify only one row or two row? Here you cannot put any condition here that for this particular row index values 2 or row index values 1. This does not help you to do that. Understood, Ankit? Here you cannot put any condition here as such that I do not want to transfer index value 4 or index value 3. You cannot put any condition as such here. Okay, now let's move ahead. So now that you understood this part, now let me show you one more thing. So we all have created range table, right? So then we assign the values of sign, option, low, high. Sometimes we need to use it in select queries or for some other purpose, right? So for range table, so suppose if you want to create a range table with this value operator. So now let's see how it becomes very easy to create a range table with this value operator. So let me remove this. So data, what I'll do, I'll make use of anything. Yeah, I'd have to type range of I, okay? And now let me start specifying a value. So I tab 2 equals to value operator, then value hash, and now let's start specifying the components. So how will I specify the components? So quickly tell me one thing. If I have to create a range table, okay, with the ranges from 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, and 31 to 40. Okay, for the first three it should be between. Okay, so leave. So my requirement is that I want to create a range table with 3 rows which should fall in the range from 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, and the fourth it should be a greater than the value of 75. So do you think that I need to create 4 particular different components? So like this. So suppose, do I need to write like this? So sign equals to I, option equals to between, low equals to 10, and high equals to, so suppose I told 1 to 10, right? And 1 to 10, okay? And now again if I copy this component, I enter it here, I put it here, and I come down. So if I make it 11 and if I make it 20, now again I come here, now I make it 21 and I make it 30, and I want to create one more component. So now it should be greater than, and it should be greater than suppose 40 and no high value. So is this the way that I need to write, or is there some other alternative? What do you think of? So now this same thing I will write in a different approach. So see here, I'll comment this part, I tab 2 value operator, and now I put it here. Okay, so now this sign equals to I is the same across all the places, right? So sign equals to I. Okay, now option equals to BT is same for these 3 rows. Option equals to BT, and the low and high value keeps on changing. So low equals to 1, high equals to 10. Select this, put it here, and again pass our values here. So low equals to 11, high equals to 20, then again pass a value here, low equals to 21, high equals to 30. Now what about the next row? So now what I'm going to do, I need to put, so if I put it like this, option equals to greater than equals to, okay, and only low value equals to, what was the low value? 40. Do you see any error coming now? No, right? Now what if for this, if I had put a parenthesis here and I had put this entire thing here, can you see an error coming? Can you see an error coming now? Why? So if I write now sign also here, so sign equals to I. So now see still an error coming. So remember, a component, any component, listen to me, any component which is assigned a value outside of this inner parenthesis, any component which is assigned a value outside of inner parenthesis can no longer be specified in an inner parenthesis. So suppose if I remove this now, anyway sign is not required and option is this. So this was specified outside of this inner parenthesis, right? This option initially, and this sign also initially, sign and option was specified outside of this inner parenthesis, right? Yes or no? What do you say, guys? Since this and this was specified outside of inner parenthesis, you cannot again go and specify them inside the inner parenthesis. Is this point clear? Is this point clear, guys? Also, if I just leave it like this, and suppose if I do not specify any value, if I do not specify any value here, suppose I remove this, okay, if I do not specify any value here, so assignments outside of inner parenthesis, assignments outside of inner parenthesis, this must be followed by at least one inner parenthesis, at least one. Like here, if you see at least one inner parenthesis, at least one inner parenthesis, at least one inner parenthesis. Similarly, I'll put it now here as low value equals to 45. But now do you see the convenience? Now I did not repeat this sign multiple times. I did not repeat this option multiple times. And do you want to see what will be the values that will be constructed for this internal table iTab? So let me put this here now and change this to iTab2, and let me comment this out. And now let me activate. So if I do an F8 now, can you see this? Isn't it very easy to create a range table now? Rather than appending it multiple times, components, so work area, sign option low high, append that to the range table, then again sign option low high, append that to range table, then again sign option low high, append that to range table, and then again for the fourth one. Instead of that, what I did was just this. So guys, do you see a difference? Tell me, what do you say? And how does this give you a feel now? And also I showed you a different variant also, so you can use this concept. It's not about a range table only. See, this is not restricted to range table only, okay, this concept. I created this because I wanted to show you the combination of range with this concept of value and how this operates. So even if you have got a components like A, B, C and D, you can use the same concept in case if you want to keep something same. Guys, getting the point? Okay, thank you. So let's move ahead now. So I'll comment this out and let's have some fun with the complex deep structure now. Okay, so now with respect to complex deep structure, as we were talking about on that day, right, that we will build complex cases, yes or no? So now to build complex cases, what are we going to do now? Let me first set up the local types. Okay, so suppose think that begin of UI underscore example. Okay, suppose cool. So now let me give a column 1 as type I. Okay, column 2 as type I will not give suppose type C, anything. Okay, and column 3 as type of date. Okay, so I have given 3 different components referring to 3 different types, column 1, column 2, column 3. Now TT underscore example a table type, local table type for this, and type standard table of TY underscore example. Okay, and with default key. I had talked about this on that day. Okay, and now again I'll create one more complex example now. So let me make this a simple one. So TT underscore simple type, and this also simple. Okay, now begin of TY underscore complex, and now what do I do here? Column 1 type I, column 2. Now for this column 2, I will refer this to TY underscore simple example. Okay, and now for column 3, this I will refer to this table type. Now is it becoming deep? Yes or no? Is it becoming deep? Yes or no, guys? So TT underscore simple underscore example, and then end of TY underscore complex, and then again create a table type of this TY underscore complex. Now does it become complex? Matlab a kind of a deep. So type standard table of TY underscore complex. Okay, with default key. So what do you say, guys? What do you say now? Does this become complex? Yes or no? Thanks, Ravi. Okay, now let's start passing the values. So data ls struct 1, value operator, okay, see here, types begin of, okay, so this end of I did not do. Okay, fine. So ty underscore simple example, and now I'll pass values to this. So column 1 equals to 1, column 2 equals to A, and column 3 equals to side datum, today's date. Okay, so now what I want to do, now I want to create a table type for this. So data lt underscore table 1, and specify this to the type value tt underscore simple underscore example, and now I want to put it here. So what do I do now? So for a particular row, column 1 equals to 1, column 2 equals to A, and column 3 equals to side datum. Now I will copy this same row and create 2 more records for this internal table. So now I'll make this column 1 as 2 and this as B and this as side datum minus 2, and now again one more, this as 3 and this as C and this as side datum minus 1, or I will do it like this. I will make this as minus 2, this as minus 1, and this I will not give anything. Okay, so and now what I'll do, I'll now try to create a complex structure. So data ls underscore complex, value operator, and now ty underscore complex. So let me put it. Okay, so now column 1 equals to suppose 1, column 2 equals to, in case of column 2 this is referring to what, this, can I put this, yes or no? And column 3, now column 3 is referring to what, column 3 is referring to tt simple example lt table 1, can I put this, yes or no? Tell me. Done, right? So now instead of this, so this looks simple, right? Now what if I do it like this? I comment this out, column 1 equals to 1, let me put it like this, column 2, and let me put it like this, column 3. So instead of this, what if I put this, I put it here, and instead of this, what if I put this and I put it here? Isn't it the same thing? Tell me. Guys, tell me, isn't it the same thing? And now if I make it, so data lt underscore complex, value operator tt underscore complex, and now inside this, what I'm going to pass for this tt underscore complex, I want to create two records. So for the first one, what I want to do is, since I want to create two records for this one, so I will use from this value to this value. So now this is for the first record, and for the first record, let me take from here. Till which point can I take? Can I take up to this point, right? And put it inside this here. Okay. And now let me scroll down. So this and this. So if I put it like this. So be very careful now of the braces. Now see, it will become complex. And now I put it like this. Okay. Now if I want to pass one more value, so now if I pass it like this, and if I pass it like this, and now for this one I put an enter here. Okay. And now I make it as a column 1 equals to 2. I'll start changing the values now, and rest let it be same like this. Now just see this and tell me, forget about other things. How does it look like? And what are you able to interpret from here? I'll unmute you all. Can anyone tell me? Will a new developer be able to interpret?
There will be two records, one with deep structure.
No, that's fine, because now you understood, because we came from top to bottom, right?
Yes.
What if you directly see this code?
Complex.
Huh?
Complex. Difficult to get.
Difficult to read, right?
Yeah.
See this, you were like going from top to bottom, right? So we initially created this design and then we went from this to this step. But if you directly see this, now let me show you this value in the debugger. So if I do an F8 now, I hope I have closed. Yups. Okay. So LT complex F5. Can you see here a structure in a standard table? So this is a structure, right? So if I do for this structure LT complex and expand this, this is for column 2. So column 1, column 2, column 3. Now if I just need column 3. So now guys, can you see the chaining component coming? Now suppose if I want to use for this column 3. So what if now I want to use for column 3? So LT complex 1, column 2, and now if I want to use column 3 only. So what is this? LT complex 1 for the first row, then the column 2, which is again an internal table, right? And then from this is column 3. So if I want to use this value only, can you see this chaining expression coming into picture? So now what if from the same internal table, now my requirement is so I'll remove the breakpoint. Now from the same internal table LT underscore complex, my requirement is you get me a value. What is the value that you need? I need the value for that particular record for which column 1 equals to 1. For now from that record I need the value for which column 2 equals to B, and I need the date. Did you understand my question? So I'll go from back. I need the date. I need this date value. Okay, this column 3. For which record? For this internal table column 1 equals to 1. for that particular records column 3. From that column 3 I need the date for which column 2 equals to B. Is my question clear? Did you understand my question, guys? So how can I write it now? Data, can I write LV underscore date equals to, so suppose LT underscore complex. Okay. Now from this LT underscore complex, what do I want to read? Column 1 equals to 1, right? From this, what do I want to read? So if you want to read for this particular row column 1 equals to 1, I want to read the component column 3. Now this column 3 is again an internal table, right? This is TT. So here, from here also it will give you a picture. This is TT underscore simple underscore example. So again from here, what is the component that you want to pass for which column 2? This column 2 equals to B. And from here, what is the value that I want to get? I want to get the value of column 3, right? See, this is one line of code and done. And you get the date. So now if I write LV underscore date, so suppose if I do an F8 now, so LV underscore date, and now can you see the value coming? So what did we do? Nothing, I just used the same concept from the debugger. This is my LT underscore complex for this particular row 1, for this column 3. Now for this column 3, I want for which column 2 equals to B, right? So column 2 equals to B. So this same expression that you are seeing here for column 2 equals to B, I need the value of column 3. So this condition. So here instead of 1, I put a condition here, and instead of 2, I put a condition here, and then I got the value. The same concept what you are seeing in the debugger, we are using the same concept as a part of your writing a logic. So what do you think, how many read statements are eliminated? Now if I want you to make it compare to this one, so see similar kind of an expression. So this is an internal table, from here again an internal table, from here a row 1 and another row 2, 2 rows. Similarly here again an internal table, from there to another internal table, and then this particular row and this particular row. So if you compare with this one now, how many reads? So earlier if I want to do something like that, read into a work area, suppose, okay, and this suppose again this work area, this suppose any particular column or something is an internal table, again a read table, right, a work area, and suppose this is again a table, read table, again a work area into this one. So 1, 2, 3 and then the value, right? Instead of that, now at particular one position I can access everything and get the value. Yes or no? So guys, understood the point? For this chained table expression? Okay, now one thing, there is also one operator called reference operator, okay? So as the name says, what it will do, it will specify a reference to that particular record. It will specify a reference to that particular record. So suppose, think of a scenario, data type standard table of string, okay? And now what I'm going to do now for this tab 5, I will be specifying a value as like this, tab 5 equals to value operator, value hash, okay? And inside this now I want to have 2 rows. One row will have the value of ABCDE, So conv string psi abcde. If you just give abcde, see what's the problem. So if you just give abcde, it will throw you an error that the row type are incompatible. So what is your favorite solution now? Make use of your conv operator. So conv operator, type string, and then your whatever expression you want to give. Now let me create one more row. Now for this row, suppose if I want to pass psi datum, okay, now this will again throw me the same issue. This the row type are incompatible. Again use conv operator. So guys, are you understanding the usage? How am I using the old concepts, whatever you have learned? So now string psi datum and put it here. Okay. So now let's see what is the error now. So we have missed one space, right? So what is that one space? Okay. So we need, sorry, not end of an expression. So now let me do this output. So if you want to see the output of this one, and for this, if I want to put tab 5, so I've activated it, and now let me show you the output for the same. I hope I have removed the breakpoint. Yep. Can you see here? This came like this, okay? Now suppose I want to refer to this first row of this tab 5, but I want to reverse the same and also to print it in lowercase. So now by using the reference variable, what I can do is, so data ls underscore, suppose tab, what is this, tab 5. Now use the reference operator hash. Now what will happen? Now inside this tab 5, I want to read which row? 1, right? And now how do you read this value of ls tab 5 now? So if I want to read this value of ls tab 5, how do I do that? So ls tab 5, if I just write like this, do you see any component? No, right? You need to use this operator hyphen, like the instance component selector which you use in classes and objects, and then this asterisk. This will help you to dereference the same. This will help you to dereference the same. Now suppose if I want to create another table which should be pointing to a standard table of string, and I'll remove the period, and for this particular table tab 6, I want to construct it using a value operator. And now what I'm going to do, as I said, I want to append that row, this particular value, in a lowercase and reversing from Z to A. So what I will do is, I want to underscore lower and then reverse and then ls underscore tab 1 and then dereference the same. Yes or no? Sorry, not ls underscore tab 1, ls underscore tab 5. And now if I use the same to print the output, and now activate the same. So if I print the output for you now, so this is tab 5. When I had dereferenced the same, right? ls tab 1 asterisk. Can you see this? And now this value. Can you see here now? That same tab 5. I did not use it in the CLDM output display. This value. So if I comment this out now, Now you will be able to understand. If I do an F8, this is tab 5 and this is the dereferencing value. And now after dereferencing, when I used it here, and if I do an F8 now a tab 5 and then tab 6. So now if you again want to use it, suppose, so this is ls tab 5 asterisk, right? So for writing also, yes, obviously, because, okay, now how do I show you? I'll put a breakpoint and show you. 1 second, wait. So let me suppose control and F, activate the same, and let me put a breakpoint for you. So this is tab 5, right? I do an F5. The value came, okay. Now ls underscore tab 5, can you see this is a kind of a reference variable? So when I do this, what happens? This becomes reference to, right? And now this has got dereferenced, right? So now you will be able to see the value. Now in tab 6, if you do not dereference it like this, how will you reference to that particular value? Understood the point, Harish? Sorry, not Harish. Understood the point, Ankit? Now a quick question to all of you. So I'll close this, I'll close this, I'll close this. What will happen now if instead of 1 I specify 3 here? Okay, I specify 3 here, I activate the code. Guys, what will happen now? Can anyone tell me? If I do an F8, short dump, right? So you are telling me to add an optional here. So I'll add an optional now. And now if I add an optional now, tell me what will happen. Now tell me, Prasad, what is supposed to happen now that I have added optional? Why again a short dump? Why? Because now the dump will come. You are using a reference way operator here. And now this is trying to dereference for which there is no value. Yes or no? There is no reference possible because nothing was found here. Yes or no? Tell me. That's why you are seeing this dump. A null data reference is not possible, right? Understood the point? Yes or no? So, important point to consider here is while using a reference operator, we need to check whether data object was referenced or not. Otherwise we may encounter a short dump. Otherwise we may encounter a short dump, right? So now, what if now I have made use of reference variable, this tab 6 which I am doing here, right? What if now I make a change here? I make this as tab 5. I make this again as 1. Okay. And now I make this tab 5 1. And I write like this. Okay, tab 5 and I specify I write like this. So what happens now? The type string is not a structure. What happens now? Tell me. Does this allow me to change a value here when I'm using it on the left hand side to write the same value? So if you want to use that concept of field symbol, then you can assign this particular row type to, so while you are reading a table expression, right, you can use a table expression as a kind of a general operand position also, right? Yes or no? You can use that as a kind of a general operand position, yes or no, right? So assign that table expression to field symbol and then you use the same. So as in, what I mean is, I was just about to ask this question after some time only. So what I mean is, so example, when you are getting the values, okay, so sometimes your table expression can really come very handy. So example, I have an internal table and that particular table line has a value of 30. Or example, take this scenario. One second. And now let me revert it back. Tab 6 equals to value hash okay. Now come to this scenario. Okay, now this scenario, guys, tell me here. This internal table has got this row 3 with this value as 30, right? What if I want to change this value of this one, I tab table line equals to 30, and if I want to multiply with this particular value, so what I mean is, for this 30 I want to be replaced with 30 into 30. So how will I write? So will I write like this, that on the left hand side, so how should I write? I tab braces start table line equals to 30 equals to I tab table line equals to 30 into I tab table line equals to 30. Is it really correct? So what do I mean is, I tab here, okay, table underscore line equals to 30, for which I want to change the value, I tab table underscore line equals to 30 and into the same expression. Is this correct? Is this a correct approach? Is this a correct approach? Is line number 242 correct? Is this a proper way to do it? Now here I can introduce the concept of field symbol, right? If this same thing, if I write it like this, assign. So what do I assign? I will assign I tab the same value that I was specifying, table underscore line equals to 30. Can I assign to a field symbol? So here and fs underscore data, suppose, and now can I write fs underscore data equals to fs data into fs data? So, and if I then display the output, won't my row 3 for this particular internal table change? Tell me. So did you get your question's answer? Whoever asked me that, Srini? So this is a table expression. You can, if you want to make it complex, you can make it complex also. and then you assign this to field symbol, and then you handle it with a field symbol. Here you want to use optional. So if you see optional, obviously you cannot use. So for using optional, so the problem is you need to make use of value hash, right? And when I write like this, value hash and then optional, so now this will cause a problem. That's why I said use only table expression. But if you use along with the combination of a value operator, then this you need to pass somewhere. Then you cannot directly specify the table expression here. Understood, Prasad? Specifying any value, then you assign that to field symbol. Then if you want to really use value optional also. Guys, should we have 3 or 4 minutes of break? Ravi is telling yes, please. Why, Ravi? So you really enjoyed this part or what? This part? Okay, so let's continue again at around 8:53. Guys, can we start? Can we resume, guys? Okay. So remember in your day 3 we had talked about new operator, right? To create the instance of a class, like how you have your reference operator. Which one, Loganathan? This reference operator you are telling. Okay, now question is, this reference operator, basically this will not come that much handy because you will not create that much references. You will be mostly dealing with your value operator only. But as a concept you should be aware of, rather than your reference operator, in case if you want to have a reference or something, there is a reference operator which you can refer to and which you need to check whether it is referenced or not. But in terms of usage this will not come much more handy, but yeah, the new operator is there which you can make use of, so that if you want to change any values, you can use the new operator without exclusively changing the values by using the concept of memory and field symbol. Got the point, Loganathan? I'll show you now. I'll just show you now. Don't worry. Just hold for a few minutes. I'm just talking about the new operator. No, I'll show you from the new operator perspective how you can use the same to change the value also. Okay. So yeah, as I was talking about the new operator. So with respect to this new operator, as you had already seen the value operator, right? So this value and the new operator works almost similarly, and the only difference is that when you use a new operator it will create a data reference for you, whereas when you use a value operator, it basically whatever is there on the left hand side it will assign a value for that, right? And one more difference is that while using the new operator, the value that is on the receiving side, the variable or the data object, it should be a data reference as in type reference to data. Whereas while you are using, so if you see here type reference to, if you are using a new operator, similarly like how you are using a reference variable, right? But when you are using a value operator, whatever value is there on this receiving side, that is on the left hand side, this will be kind of an actual typed variable, right? So basically the main difference comes in the kind of a data reference, whereas you actually see a value there. But you can do all the things that you are doing with the value operator with the help of the new operator also. As in what I mean, so if you see here, while initially we created structure and all and base and all, right? So here instead of a value operator, if I use a new operator, okay, instead of a value operator, what if I use a new operator? So example in this case, so if I want to use base, so now here, so data ls underscore data 2, if I use a new operator now, and with this new operator, if I refer this to what? Suppose if I use hash only, okay, and I use this, then base, and then ls underscore data 1, and just I want to change the value of f3 to 6, okay. So now I have used a new operator instead of a value operator. And now how do I refer to that component? Like how we are using in case of a reference operator, right? Similarly, suppose ls underscore data 2, and I want to refer to any component. So ls underscore data2, if I want to refer to any component, suppose F2, then I need to write like this. So suppose if I show you the output now, let me see if I have commented. Yep. So here, let me put a breakpoint here, F8. So ls underscore data2, F5, can you see reference to, and this is reference variable, right? Similarly, like how you saw in reference operator. Now if I need to refer this, so as ls data F2, and which you see here, the value which is 2, and if I do an F8 now, you will be able to see the output. Similarly, like how I was doing in reference, in case if I do it like this, suppose if I just write asterisk. Now if I write asterisk, what will happen here? Can you see an error? Can you see an error here? Why? Whereas when I used it here, this was a kind of a string or a character, right? So scroll up again. So ls data2, I am trying to put asterisk. It is not pointing to anything, it is throwing you an error here. So in case with the new operator, if you want to refer to any particular value, you can use similarly the instance component selector which you use, and then specify that component name. So normally new you can use for all the concepts that you have been using for value, but it's not that we will be using this extensively, but as a concept this comes handy, and now I'll show you why this comes handy when you can use new operator. So before that, let me introduce to you two more things before I jump onto that with a scenario. So now basically I'll talk about your two operators, COND and switch. So basically this is a kind of a conditional operator, COND and switch. So COND and switch. So how do you want to see the complete row for that? Okay, one second. Where did it go? Yeah, here it is, right? ls data2. So suppose now, let me again put a breakpoint here. Have I changed a code? Yeah, one second. Let me activate the code, and suppose I comment this out. Okay, and now this is new operator. Okay, and now activate this. I'll activate this part, and now I'll do F8. So this is your ls data2. If I do an F5 now, if you expand this, can you see the values? 1, 2 and 6. Now for particularly dereferencing, like, so as I showed you for only a single component, I showed you for a single component, right? Like this F2. Now just hold on for a few minutes. I'll show you how you can change using the new operator if you want to change for everything. Just let me complete the concept of conditional and switch operator, then I'll club a scenario with a new operator where you can change the values without even actually going and changing it there. So just hold on for a few minutes. So I'll remove the breakpoint. So now let me go here. Yes, conditional and switch operator. So for COND and switch operator, basically this is a kind of a replacement whatever you have been doing with your if else conditions. So if you want to replace your if else conditions, you can use your COND and switch operator as per your use. Now how it gets used is left hand side expression equals to right hand side expression. Now this COND and switch operator, this does not act like your case statements. Like case statements, you can use it exclusively unknown, right? You do not need to club it with anything. Since these are your constructor expressions, you need to club it as a part of your right hand side expressions. So basically this condition and switch operator will be used on the right hand side, and whatever value gets derived because of either by using COND or switch operator, the value will be assigned to the left hand side. Now how do you specify it? So suppose, let me take a scenario for COND operator. So suppose I take a scenario as do 4 times and then undo. Okay. And now suppose I'll not do 4 times, suppose I'll make it 3 times. Okay. And data LV underscore value 1. Okay. And now what I'll do, I'll use a condition operator COND string, and now here when psi index equals to 1, the expression. So conditional operator, either you can use a hash here as well. It is applicable for all constructor expressions. You can use a hash here also. So what you can do here, either a hash or a data type. When suppose expression, when psi index equals to 1, then what do I want to use? Then I want to use the pipe operator, and I want to specify a value. And now similarly, when psi index equals to 2, then the pipe operator and then the value. Else, so when expression 1, then whatever output you want to assign to the left hand side. When expression 2, then whatever output you assign to the left hand side. Now else, if not these two, else what is that you want to assign? So suppose now I will write 1, 2, else greater than 2. Okay. And now a period. So now if I show you the output now for this one, let me just comment out the value for, yes, it's commented out. So now write LV underscore value 1. Now let me show you the output. So see, greater than 2. Why? Only greater than 2 will come, right? Yes or no? Tell me guys. Because I kept the iteration as here. What if now I change it and I put it here, what will happen? If I put it here, will there be any change in the output? So now if I activate, now if I do an F8, so 1, 2 greater than 2, right? So if you see for a condition expression, so now what I did, I clubbed expression 1, then 1, expression 2, then 2, else this, right? Now suppose the same thing, if I want to do through a switch operator, if the same thing I want to do through a switch operator, okay, the same part, what will I do? So now for the switch operator, the expression just changes a bit. So in the conditional operator, you are seeing that here an expression comes into picture, right? Here an expression comes into picture, right? And it's not that an else is mandatory. It's not that an else is mandatory. What if I comment this and I put a period and end it here? And now let me activate the code and show you the output. So the output will be only 1 and 2. Else is not mandatory here. Else is optional. Okay, else is optional. Even if you write only a one condition and like this, it's not that I have to repeat multiple when conditions. So only output is 1. So you can have multiple expressions and then also you can have an else condition also. So it depends how is your usage. So I'll uncomment the same, I'll uncomment the same. Now remove this and now remove this. So now let me show you the same how I can achieve through the switch operator. So I'll use the same piece of code, but now the twist comes is that from here. So now instead of COND, I will use a switch operator. What if I do not use a string here and hash? And now after you use a switch operator, you need to specify the particular, here there will be no expression. Here it will be for a particular value for which you want to see the conditions, like how you do case expression, right? Case, so whatever variable LV underscore var, when 1, when 2, when 3, when 4, right? Similarly here, first you write psi index and now you write when 1, then 1, when 2, then 2, and you write an else here. But can you see, I will now make it 2 and make it 2. So can you see here, if I use hash also, this is able to derive from this particular pipe operator, whatever is the string value, it is able to derive that this will be a kind of a string type, right? And now if I show you the output now, if I comment this one, so F8, here also you will get the same output, but the only difference becomes in a conditional operator. So as I said here, can you see these two operators will be used on the right hand side only. You cannot use them on the left hand side, point number 1. Point number 2, with this conditional operator COND, this always has to have an expression. This always has to have an expression. But with switch operator, this will have for the particular variable or for the particular data object for which you want to use the value. So particularly that and then directly the value. So in case if you want to use expressions, which one will be favorable, COND or switch operator? Which one, guys? In case if you want to use variables. In case if you want to use variables, Prasad, how will a switch operator come handy? How can I use, so in this example, so sorry, in case if I use an expression, can you put any expression here? Can I put multiple expressions here? No, right? So then you need to make use of your conditional only. Also now my next question to all of you, what if I want to club multiple conditions here? What if I want to club multiple conditions here? Can I do that? So when sign index equals to 1, then 1, and now let me use a value. So suppose data where 2, suppose, okay, equals to hello, okay, and where 2 equals to hello, then now can I write where like this? Is it possible? Tell me. But why am I getting an error? Can anyone tell me? Why am I getting an error? Now, is it possible? Why bracket? I had given where only, right? Now tell me. And now if I give when this just a second, so let var equals to high, sorry, not here, control X, so now 1 second, wait, let me put it like this. Anyways, I will club it. Just give me a few minutes, I'll club it. But now you understand, if I want, I can make this expression complex also. What if I want to club COND and switch together, is it possible? If I want to club COND and switch together, is it possible? It's possible. So if you want, you can club it also. So suppose here, instead of this, now see here, now suppose let me make it 4 times, okay, and now what I'll do, when psi index equals to 3, then switch hash so for this particular expression, and now a period close, and now psi index when, so for this will come for 3, right? So switch hash, now I'll write a word here, where 2 when hello, then replace this with high, and when high, then replace this with hello, and I will not put any else condition here, and I'll make this and reach this one. Now guys, tell me, should I show you the output now for this one? Control N7, I'll comment this out, I'll activate this one, save. Yeah, I've activated this one. Now can you tell me what will be the output for this one? Can anyone tell me? So 1, hello 2, high greater than 2, right? Why hello got replaced by hi? Because I mixed a switch expression with this here, right? Yes or no? Tell me, guys. And what if I do like this? What if I activate the same? So I'll get a space here also, right? This we already discussed. And somebody said braces, right? So if I do it like this, and if I do it like this, so is something missing? So now if I put this particularly everything inside here and Control X, Control V. Now, so someone asked about braces. So now if I show you the output now, F8, it's the same output, right? Guys, are you able to relate now? So either you can use with braces, without braces, clubbing switch with COND. Here also, in case if you need switch also you can club with COND. So it is like you can use either this with this or this with this. Anything is fine. And you can go up to any number of nesting. Quotes inside the pipe operator. So I did not get your question. Quotes inside the pipe operator as in, so you want to use like this or what? How do you want to use? I did not get your question, Ankit. Wait, let me unmute you.
Kabir, I was saying that when you are writing to, you are not using the quotes string like for mentioning it as string.
So on that day, remember we had discussed about like you do not need to. So if you use quotes here, no.
Yes.
So if you use quotes here, you can use. So if I use quotes here, you know what will happen. So see here, on that day we discussed about this. So if I do F8 now, it will come like this. So because I'm concatenating everything inside this expression, so I can directly use the literal inside this pipe operators. I do not need to give quotes.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
So if I do it like this, now see, I do an activation, I do an F8. Now you understood the difference? I've used quotes, but I've removed pipe.
Yes.
So there are multiple actually variation combination. So if you just do a bit of twist and tweaks, no, it will change. So now you are telling if you want to club, what do you want to club basically, what is that you want to club? To club COND with value, right? So this is your COND operator. Now instead of 1, suppose let us read some value from, you want to use with a value operator I did not get. So okay, so what you can do is, in the value expression you want to put a condition. Is that what you are asking, Prasad? So suppose now this your LV underscore value 1. So suppose let me not put this and let me comment this out. And now what we are going to do is, suppose we were creating this one ls data 1, right? So now suppose I do for the same ls underscore so data 3, suppose, and now what was the type? Let us just check once. So suppose let me use ty underscore simple underscore example. So now ty underscore simple underscore example, and Now for this, so Prasad, you are telling suppose column 1 equals to, so now how do you want to use a conditional operator to get the value here, right? That's what you are telling, right? So now suppose if I copy put this, so now see here, it will not be able to interpret. So suppose, let me remove this and let me remove this. So now column 1 equals to this value, right? For column 1 only I have written such a complex case, and now let me write for column 2 equals to, what was column 2? Just let me check once. Column 2 was type C. So okay, so let's do one thing. Let's make this as column 2. And let me remove this and let me not put any other component. So you can club, so now see here, ls data 3. So now if I put a breakpoint now, so for sign index, instead of sign index, let me use any value, suppose as lv underscore index. So now lv underscore index, and now I will replace with lv underscore index. Once again I'll replace with lv underscore index, and now I'll specify a value for data lv underscore index equals to 1, and column 1 equals to 1, column 2 equals to this, and column 3 equals to sci datum suppose. Okay, now activate, control and F3, and now let me show you the, so now if I do here, go to F8, so ls data 3, right? So what should be the value of ls data 3 coming? Can anyone tell me? So column 2 is what? Column 2 is what? 0 or what? O or what? Guys, did you observe? What happened? Did anything come? Or let us do one thing. Let us make this as, yes, that's what I'm telling. Only one came, no? So let me now increase this to suppose 10. Okay. So now let me activate, and now let me show you the output. So now I've increased the length and F5, and now let's go to ls underscore data 3. So now 1 came, right? It's correct or not? It's correct, right? Because LV index is 1, yes or no? So Prasad, now did you get your answer? You can make it complicated like this also. Always remember that COND operator needs to come on the right hand side. So this entire thing is on the right hand side, right? So now I have clubbed, I am constructing a value like a work area. I want to specify the value, but my one component is dependent on some other condition for which I can create and embed some expression or something like this. So you can club it like this also. Understood, Prasad? Guys, is this clear? How you can create an expression like this also? So we saw to club COND and switch. You can even switch and COND. You can make it nested as you want. This else is optional. This else is like not that it's mandatory. Even if you write only a when condition single also, it will not give you any issue. And can you display TY? Okay. See here. Okay, Srini? So now let me show you one more scenario. Just give me 1 minute, I'll have some water. And you know the best part will be to debug this one. I'll show you now to make it interesting. Let's call COND operator with switch. Okay. So with switch, if I want to call, let me make it 3. And now let's activate. And now if I do an F8. So ls data 3. Now if I do an F5, see what happened. This value is 3, right? So it directly went to, this assigned as 1 for this one, but it directly went to condition string when LV index equals to 3, it went to this particular condition. And then again to the switch condition with var2, and var2 is, so if you see the value of var2, this is hello. So then hello, so then it got replaced with high, and that's why high came. So understood, guys, right? How you can mix and play around as per your requirement. Okay. So one thing now, suppose data LV underscore TXT, and I use a new operator, okay, to create this data type. So suppose char 10, and now I pass ABCD, suppose at the rate, then your dollar, then your space, then your hash, then your dollar, then your space and quotes. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. I think LV text is already declared. Okay, I'll make it a text 1. Okay, and data LV output equals to new operator and char 10, and I'll just specify this as same. Now what I'll do is, I want to replace the values of this with some other value, and I will make use of a switch operator. Okay, so first of all, do 10 times and do, and now how do I get the offset value? So data LV underscore offset. So now for the offset value, new I, so this will be psi index -1, right? So psi index, when it becomes 1, so this is 0 and 1, right? So how do I specify for an offset if I want to read? So LV underscore char, suppose plus 0 1, it will refer to this, plus 1 1, it will refer to this, plus 2 1, it will refer to this, plus 3 1, it will refer to this, right? So that's why I'm doing psi index -1. Now data LV underscore char. So now to get a single value, now new char 1, and I'll put it like this. How do I read the value? So LV underscore text. So for LV underscore text, which one do I want to read? Asterisk. Now from LV underscore text asterisk, which one do I want to read? So plus LV underscore offset, and then from LV underscore offset, so plus then again this, and then again an asterisk, and then 1. So this I'll make it 1. Yeah. So LV underscore text 1, then the offset value which I got here, and then particularly this particular value. Okay. And now I want to change in this LV output. So LV underscore output again. So again put an asterisk. So LV output again put an offset value. So LV underscore offset. And again put an asterisk value 1. So now what I'm going to do, switch operator char 1. Now I want to introduce the usage of the let operator also. So let small x equals to, I'll just specify some condition in LV underscore char asterisk so when A, then I'll replace this with Z, and now let me repeat this for multiple lines. So when I'll remove this, when B replace with Y, when C replace with X, when D replace with W, at the rate I'll replace with, suppose, dollar symbol. I'll remove this, I'll remove this, and I'll remove this. After at the rate, it's dollar, right? When dollar, so suppose if I'll not give dollar, suppose I'll give for hash, suppose, okay? And for hash, I want to replace it with a percentage. And when space, then small x, else 0 and close. Okay, and now I write LV underscore output and then this asterisk. So guys, can anyone tell me what will be the output of the same? This was the initial which I had put. What will be the value for the same? Can anyone tell me what will be the output for the same? What do you think will be the output? So let me show through debugger. So F8. So this is LV offset. So initially this will be the value will be 0, right? LV char, initially the value will be A, this first particular value, right? So LV output when A, then this will become, so if I write LV output now, this will become Z. Similarly, when I go here, now again LV offset becomes 1, and now LV char becomes B. So for LV output, which keeps on getting appended, this becomes ZY, okay, right? Now when I do an F8, So Z, Y, X, W, dollar, 0, right? If there is nothing it is found, it is giving 0 for that. And then asterisk, percentage, 0, asterisk. Now the important thing that you can note is, I used an auxiliary variable. Did I declare it anywhere earlier? I did not declare it anywhere earlier, right? Suppose for here, like in this case, when I am using a switch operator, if I use let Z equals to hey, okay, in var2, then when hello, then hi, okay. So it was by default what it was, var2 was hello, right? So then if I replace this with Z, so suppose you want to declare something on the fly in terms of an auxiliary variable, this is your auxiliary variable, which you can introduce with the concept of a let operator in whatever condition. So in this, whatever operand value you had given, and then you can use it after any then condition. Like I have used it here after a then condition and introduced the same before this particular operand position, particular this value. So here also similarly in the switch condition, let Z equals to hey in var2 when hello, then use this variable value after this then condition. This is your auxiliary variable which you can let, use of your let in case of your switch or condition statements which you can use it. So you want to make use of multiple. So suppose here let Y equals to what is that? I can write guys, in when LV index equals to 1, let me make it as 2, and then I was making it as var2 value was hello and ampersand, and let me make this as Y. So now did you get your answer? So now see here, if I just again put the breakpoint here, because I did some more tweaks here, okay. So now if I do an F8 here now, so this is your LS data 3. Can anyone tell me what is the output that you are expecting now? So for your convenience, index value is, I'll put the cursor here, it is 2, and your convenience, your var is hello. What is the output that you are expecting here? Tell me. Can you see here? Hello guys came. From where did guys come? An auxiliary variable which I did not declare earlier. I used it on the fly, on the go. Right? And again here, if you see here also, I used on the fly, right? Hey, but I have used it in index 3. So I have used multiple auxiliary variables. One here for this condition expression and one here for this. Now, what if I write like this, comma, A equals to hi, okay, and now here if you make it, instead of var2, here I make it A, okay. And now if I activate, and now if I do an F8 now, and now if I do, so focus here LS data 3 F5. So here is your answer. Who asked me that question? So guys, Is it more clear now with all these combinations and twists and tweaks? Can you see what we have done here? So will a particular anyone who is reading this for the first time understand what is that we are doing here? Just if someone sees this code from here to here, what will that particular person understand who is reading this code for the first time? So guys, did you understand this combination now? So JS, the question that you asked, that we have not declared any data type here. See, so now suppose A equals to 5. So I'm not declaring any data type here, right? Now if I do the output, activate the same F8, sorry, not F8. Let me show the trigger, the breakpoint here, F5. So see, 5 came now. So this, what has happened, whatever you are declaring here, the in statement is mandatory. This you need to use it. This is mandatory. Never use these auxiliary variables before then. Remember that. If you see here, in this case, these auxiliary variables I have used after then, right? Yes or no? Again, this auxiliary variable I have used after then, right? So never use it before the then expression. And let will always come before your condition expression or before your particular variable for which you are checking the values. Did you get the point? Guys, is it clear? So, and if you are writing something like this, it will give you an error, JS. If you do not try to give type or something, see here. I wrote like, right, type I. For example, type int 4. See here, it will throw you an error. So now on the same thing, the assignment that I had given, so I'll just quickly go through that. So quick question, did you all work on the assignment? So should we discuss this tomorrow? Should we discuss this tomorrow initially? Because now I think whatever questions I had given, now since we have covered all the concepts, I think now you should be able to work on all the questions, right? So today we understood the usage of base, the usage of lines of, how, like without using append also, how you can append the rows. Then what is the restriction behind base, one more restriction with respect to inline declaration. Then how to create your range table and how to make it kind of a very optimized way. Then we understood how to use the concept of chaining of table expression along with how to build a complex deep structure or a deep table type using a value operator. Then we understood the concept of reference operator. Then we went on to COND and switch operators, which is a kind of a replacement of if else if. The only thing is that they will always be used on the right hand side. You cannot use them on the left hand side. Again, then we saw that you can club and play around, like you can nest COND and switch together, or switch and COND together. Like else condition is optional. Then how you can play while building an like a work area or an internal table, how you can club with COND and switch together. Then introduce the concept of auxiliary variables by usage of the let operator inside your COND or switch operator, so that you can accordingly build your values according as in construct your structure or internal table or whatever is required. And this new and ref operator, you can, okay, one second. Ankit, I understood your question. Now that's an homework for you. You will let me know now. Is it really possible to, so reference operator I showed you, right? How you are using the same through the reference operator. Now you please let me know tomorrow in this scenario where we had used a new operator here in line number 235 for this scenario. What if I want to dereference the entire row? I showed you for a component, right, F2. What if I want to dereference for an entire row? If it's possible, how is it possible? If not, then what should I do? Is it fine, Ankit? Yes, we can use let with value operator also. We'll see that tomorrow. We can use let with value operator also. We'll see that tomorrow. So I hope whatever concepts we did today, it's clear. So the question is, can we use CONV, getting the values from FM like we do CONV operator, CONV for conversion? You can convert anything. So suppose if you are getting a data, so example, the problem is in FM, inline declaration will not work, okay? Now suppose for the value that you are getting, so I do not understand which one you want to convert. Suppose if it's an importing parameter that already you would have declared it somewhere, right? So you want to again convert it at there. So while declaring, you can use a CONV expression and convert it. But I am not getting, so if in an FM call, if you are getting an importing parameter, why you again want to use a CONV operator there? CONV operator will come handy if you are exporting something, as we had discussed on that day. So you often get issues with the type compatibility, right? So there your CONV operator will come very handy. Got the point, Ankit? CONV operator in a function module you use while you are exporting the values if you want to change from one data type to other data type to avoid compatibility issues. When you are importing something, do not use CONV operator. That doesn't make sense, because that already you would have declared. So why you want to change it at that place? It becomes very handy if you suppose, example, I'll tell you a scenario. When you want, suppose you get sometimes type compatibility issues because of the table types and all, right? Because the FM might have some different table type to which it is referring. Use CONV operator, give that table type and convert the values. But while you are getting the data, example, as you talked about a date scenario, right? So if you want to get the date, you get the value and then you convert into date. So you build an FM, get a date value. So suppose when you are getting the date, if you use the operator, so CONV, so now that particular, understand that when you are getting the value, that will be in some variable, right? Yes or no? So if you convert it there, so CONV operator is on the right hand side or is on the left hand side? So whatever variable is on the left hand side, that will be converted using that CONV operator on the right hand side expression. Yes or no? So now did you understand when I was talking about the exporting parameter, not the importing parameter? Is your doubt clear now? Okay, fine then. Okay guys, so please work on the assignment. It's a please request to all of you. Like I've invested a lot of time in preparing these questions. So whatever concepts we covered today, I hope it will all be helpful for you to working on the assignments, and you will understand that while working on the same. So we'll spend 15-20 minutes tomorrow in the initial part to discuss about that, and then we will proceed ahead.
Hello, Kabir. Rahul here. Hello.
Yep, tell me.
Actually, I'm working on HANA project, so I just have one query regarding select query for all entries we have that query. So is there, I mean, do we need to change that for all entries, or we can keep it in the HANA environment also?
It's just that with HANA, with the conversion readiness, it always tells that whenever you are using for all entries in, always check that whether that internal table for which you are referring in for all entries in, whether that is filled or not. That's a must check which you should do.
Yeah, I mean that is okay. Yeah, I mean we have that if it is not if it is not initial, so we have have that if
okay,
condition.
Understood.
Yeah.
Now second point is, even without for all entries in, when we cover the concept of select query on an internal table, you can use that concept also.
Actually, they say that you have to use a join. I think join on internal table. So is it feasible to use?
Yes. Okay. We'll see that in next week.
Okay. But I mean, if we keep it because there are few existing objects which client want to keep it. So in that the old code. So we have the queries with for all entries. So I just want to know. I mean, whether I should convert it those queries, or can I keep?
When I do a select query on an internal table, there are certain points which you need to consider. It's always not a proper way to convert everything whatever you have seen in f.a.e to use your select query on an internal table, because sometimes that internal table data also goes for data buffering, which is not particularly required from a performance perspective. So you need to see at which conditions that select query on an internal table may be best suited for you.
Okay. But I mean, if we keep that, it will not give any issue. No? It will not give it dump. So if we keep it as for all entries, okay.
So see, already your for all entries in code is still working and it still works, right?
Okay.
So when you are doing a select query on internal table, that's why I said it depends on the usage that you want to do. Suppose you want to do a lot of aggregation and manipulation by pulling up the data and then doing at your application layer. Then like from your internal table, then you can write a select query on that and do that also. That is quite achievable now, because but that comes with a lot of restrictions. You should be on ABAP 7.5 and all and higher and all. So those conditions and restrictions will come into picture.
Okay. Thanks, Kabir. Yeah.
Okay. Fine then. Thank you guys. Let's catch up tomorrow. Bye bye. Have a safe day.
Thanks, Kabir.